Nigeria are not prepared for election 2023. Remember my last interview, I said I'm not seeing election in this country. People may think I'm not a prophet, that's why I'm not prophet Jews. But what I want you to know, okay, look at it now today. How many cases, how many people take INEC to court against INEC? That's one. Now coming out again, say the flood. Is it now the flood affect? What about last year? Upper year? Are you with me? So you should look. There are some games now coming, but let's wait and see. Well, but you can't fool Nigerians. Citizens of Nigeria, we are watching and we are waiting for them. They will meet us there. They have their calendar. Let's wait and see. We should not say what you want now, but I know you yourself, let's continue watch. Whether there will be election or no, there will not be election.
Election that have been coming, it is not a small election because people put eye and the world put eye to see how Nigeria will progress. So that means if INEC now should not bring properties, that is problem because it is better now INEC before the election to prepare those things. Understand?
When you talk about the electoral process, you have to have somebody that is designated for that job, and INEC, if we must say, is that person in particular that government gave them, the employment. They gave them that job, to carry out the electoral process. So I think that it is the duty of government to reimburse them. You understand? And also, give them, give them that encouragement, and also put in place measures by which they can be able to protect their materials and even help them work better and faster. Because I remember when I went to make my application for my PVC, it was very, very difficult. It's not supposed to be like that. If we claim that we want a better Nigeria, Nigeria is advancing, we have to do better. And if you ask me, they are much better than before, quite better than before. When I went to do my registration application, things were much better than the previous time. But what I'm saying is, they need to do more to make sure that their process, in making the electoral process better, needs to be better. That time, the first time I went, it took me a long period of time before I could get my election voters card, and then the quality was very low. But when I went this time, I discovered that they have much advanced equipment, and so on and so forth. But it's still taking a lot of time for much other citizens to get their PVCs, which is not good. It shouldn't be more than 2-3 months before somebody gets his card, his PVC. This is another thing INEC need to look into, and the government needs to, as their big brother, as their employer, as the person that is looking out for them, the government needs to help them to improve this process. I believe if these processes are improved, the citizenry of Nigeria will be more encouraged to participate in the electoral process. It's because most of these processes are not encouraging. That is why people look down on it. Do you understand? It's because Nigeria does not even have a system that is working perfectly. Or let's even remove the word perfect. Nobody is perfect. Only God is perfect. So let me remove the word perfect. Let's give us as human beings in general, both the white, both the African, both the Asian, whoever, the Latinos, the brown skin. Let's give all of us. Let's give them a break. Let's just cut them a break and say No human being is perfect. But at least we can also say that if the system is working to a certain extent, people will be encouraged to be part of it. When Obama was coming back for re-election, everyone, including the whites, lined up to re-elect him. They didn't care whether he had flaws or not. All they cared about was that he's a human being who is trying to be perfect and who is trying to make America perfect. And that is how it's supposed to be over here in Nigeria, in Africa. If Buhari is seeking re-election, if Tinubu is seeking re-election, if they make the system adequate for people to understand, after understand, get to find it interesting, get to find it interactive, I believe that people will be encouraged to be part of that system. And that is why we implore the government to do more. They can't do everything, but to implore the government to do more. Because if the government does more, the citizenry will be encouraged to participate and put in their best too. That is how it works.
We still have like 3 or 4 months ahead before the election hold. So if INEC is serious, they can do something to make sure the election hold as and when it's supposed to hold. The issue of them coming to complain that their material have been destroyed, we know that INEC do not store materials at state level. All their materials are stored here in Abuja, and during the election period they transport it. Except they are telling us that the money they receive on logistics in transporting materials to the state level is something that they just fixed to embezzle money. Otherwise, I don't believe that. Even if materials have been destroyed, it should be minimal, something that can be replaced. Sensitive material they don't transport sensitive materials to the state level before election. They have time frame for that. So I don't believe that. We are not ruling out the chances of postponing the election because that has been INEC routine. We are aware of that. We know that most times, like the last election, they postponed it, and they've been doing that oftentimes. So whether flow or no flow, they should come out and tell Nigerians that they're not ready. They're not just very ready to conduct elections, and maybe government should give them time to go. There's no harm in postponing election. To me, if you know that your preparation is not that very, very adequate, there's no harm in postponing it. You can actually postpone, but do the right thing. That's what we're asking for. Give us credible polls. Whatever it takes to give us credible polls and ensure that the right person is at the villa. Get us that. That's what Nigerians want. That's what we want.
Whether we like it or not, it's a point that all Nigerians that really want a credible election in this come 2023 need to be focused on. Demanding for the funds, there are practical proof that we actually experience fraud from different locations, which there's a tendency that some of their material may be flushed away. Yeah, federal government releasing the funds is not an issue. We actually support that the federal government should release the funds. But please, there should be practical supervision towards the funds to be used for what the funds is released onto, so that we can actually achieve credible election.